We are going to be presenting two resolutions to you. I'm going to ask Mr. Nagle to read the first one that is up on the screen.
A resolution to repeal Section 1021 of the National Defense Authorization Act of 2011. Whereas Barack Hussein Obama, President of the United States, on the 31st of December 2011, signed into law the National Defense Authorization Act of 2011. And whereas the aforementioned act is repugnant to all American ideals, traditions, customs, and laws, inasmuch as it sets at naught all traditions and principles of law and justice derived from 9 centuries of legal custom enshrined in the common law of the English-speaking peoples, and derived from Magna Carta Libertatum of the 13th century and from the Constitution of the United States as amended. And whereas the aforementioned act is unlawful, inasmuch as it violates both the letter and the spirit of the Constitution of the United States in numerous particulars, to wit, Article 1, Section 9, which specifically prohibits the suspension of the writ of habeas corpus, which writ has a 900-year-long tradition among the English-speaking peoples of the world, rendering thus the aforementioned act repugnant to the ideals, customs, and interests of a free people. And whereas the aforementioned act further violates our country's constitution, both in letter and in spirit, by effectively, if not specifically, replacing the ancient writ of habeas corpus with the ancient and tyrannical custom of attainder, which tyrannical custom was outlawed not only by Magna Carta Libertatum of the 13th century, but also by the Constitution of the United States in the 18th century, in and by which it is specifically forbidden under Article 1, Section 9, insofar as the aforementioned act suspends the right of the accused to the presumption of innocence and to the ancient protection of habeas corpus, thereby condemning to extrajudicial punishment any and all persons, including American citizens, who might be accused under the aforementioned act. And whereas the aforementioned act further violates, both in letter and in spirit, the Bill of Rights of the United States in numerous particulars, to wit, the 5th Amendment, the 6th Amendment, and the 9th Amendment. And whereas the practical grounds that are held by the federal government to warrant the anti-terror portions of this odious act are in fact themselves groundless, given that public health statistics show that death from acts of terrorism is less likely than death from dog bites, from lightning strikes, from diarrhea, from misadventures with bathtubs or vending machines. Now therefore be it resolved and we don't even know where this guy comes from. Do you? Now therefore be it resolved by the Republican Party of the 12th Congressional District of Georgia in convention assembled in Vidalia, Georgia on this, the 14th day of April in the year of our Lord, 2012, that H.R. 3785 to repeal Section 1021 of the National Defense Authorization Act of 2011 be passed by the Senate and the House of Representatives of the United States in Congress assembled, not later than the 14th day of October of this year, to wit, 5 months from this day, and that those portions of that unlawful and reprehensible act that are necessary and proper to the defense of the American Republic be revised and rewritten in such manner as to exclude all words, clauses, or sections whatsoever, and wheresoever they may be found in said act, that either are or may be in violation of either the letter or the spirit of the Constitution of the United States, of Magna Carta Libertatum, and of all the rights, the ancient rights, liberties, and customs of the English-speaking peoples of the world. And that said revision and rewriting be performed in such a manner as to render the revised and rewritten National Defense Authorization Act of 2011 in harmony and in accordance with the Constitution of the United States as amended, which alone is the supreme law of our republic. And that those provisions of the aforementioned act that are or may be necessary and proper to the legitimate defense of the United States and her territories shall alone be retained in and by the revised and rewritten act. And that the revised and rewritten act, being duly, properly, and wholly rendered in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, then in every particular, then be considered by the Senate and the House of Representatives of the United States in Congress assembled at a suitable time, as long as that time shall be before the general election that is to be held on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November of this year. And that the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States in Congress assembled shall reject summarily and without either a reading of or a hearing for the unconstitutional and reprehensible Enemy Expatriation Act introduced by Senator Lieberman of Connecticut, and that this action shall be taken immediately and without delay. And that a true copy of this resolution, once adopted, be placed without delay into the hands of His Excellency Nathan Deal, Governor of the State of Georgia, and into the hands of the High Sheriff of each and every county in Georgia, along with our respectful instructions to them as our representatives and as servants of the public good, that they are to uphold their oath of office and to defend the Constitution of the United States within the territories and jurisdictions that have been lawfully committed to their charge. Done this 14th day of April 2012 at Vidalia, Georgia. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Please take your seats. Mr. Chairman, the Resolution Committee places this resolution before the convention, and it requires a second, I believe, before we can vote on it.
All right, we have a motion by the committee to accept this first resolution and a second from the floor. Is there any debate? Is there any debate? Hearing none, all those in favor to stand to signify aye. The majority has voted for aye, the motion carries, and the resolution is adopted.